I've already wasted all of my really good banter.
Yeah.
Oh no. Well, no, we'll come up with more banter. I've wasted my good banter.
All my good banter was used already for the first 10 minutes I was here. I'm usually good for like 5 tight minutes of banter, and then after that,
there's no more banter that can be had.
Dig real deep, yeah.
Well, I mean, I can start like telling jokes or something, or yeah. I mean, we'll probably get started here pretty quickly because I know we really want to try to end this in like 30 minutes. So, yeah, we are live for anybody who is here joining in. We're gonna wait a minute and get some folks to join here. Feel free to grab your beverage of choice. That's a good pre-banter. Does anybody have any like exciting beverages with them today? I've got some iced coffee, of course.
Just a water today.
Oh wow. Okay. Mark is just water.
Just espresso with soy milk. Nothing too fancy.
Okay. But that's all good. I like our fuels of choice.
You ever tried the mushroom one? There's like a mushroom ashwagandha coffee.
Yeah, I have not tried it, but I know people who swear by it, and I really should try it. Yeah. I actually feel like now that I think about it, I think I accidentally tried some last week. Now that I'm thinking about this out loud, at that coffee shop that I went to while I was in Austin, like before, like on Monday morning, I went to a coffee shop, and it was one of those where like I'm a Starbucks girl, and I was like I'm a little lost here, and I was like, surprise me, and so he did. And I'm pretty sure it was a mushroom coffee. It was good.
Like lion's mane, something like that.
Yeah, exactly. So, some like mystery ingredients in it for sure.
For supreme productivity. Did you
exactly.
feel a boost?
Oh, such a boost. I was just off the walls in that we were organizing all the stuff, getting things done.
And they're like, excuse me, this is my desk.
Yeah.
Yeah. And someone's like, wait a minute, you don't belong here. Okay, well, yeah, it's 9:02. We've got a lot of great content to cover. I say let's go ahead and kick it off. I will, let's go through a round of introductions. I am Britt Joyner, PixieBrix. I am head of developer relations here at PixieBrix, and I'm going to be your MC extraordinaire for the next 30 minutes, just kind of moderating while the real MVPs here tell us more about things we talked about last week at Automation Anywhere's Imagine conference. So yeah, Mark, you want to introduce yourself, then pass over to Micah?
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, Britt, and thanks, Micah, for joining. I'm Mark Thekathala. I'm on the PixieBrix team here with Britt, and I'm leading up our pre-sales motion. And so we were really excited to join live the Automation Anywhere conference in Imagine in Austin. That was a really great time. We only had one session, and we found it gained a lot of traction. And so we thought, why not do it for everyone again and bring in the heavy hitters here to give a little bit of color commentary. And I'll pass it to Micah. I know he's got a few more sessions under his belt, but they all went great, I heard.
I'm always leading sessions, always sessioning. Yeah, my name is Micah Smith. I lead community and learning at Automation Anywhere, bot games, Pathfinder, all of the really fun stuff that we get to do. And always excited to get to talk with the PixieBrix team to hang out and talk about cool technology solutions.
Yeah, love it. And that is exactly what we're here to do, is we are talking about, the classic better together and how you can use PixieBrix and Automation Anywhere to achieve some really cool stuff. Like Mark said, our session last week was really well. We had a packed audience. Like, it went great. There were lots of people that came up to us afterwards, and we were like, hey, we should do this again, because there were definitely a lot of folks that weren't able to make it to the event, but even the folks who did join and came to the session were like, wait, I want to see this part and that part again. So here we are doing all of that. And was there anything in particular that you both enjoyed about the event? Like, I know it was my second Automation Anywhere conference. I'd been last year in September. And so it was my second. And personally, I really enjoyed the fact that like last year was my first one, and I was just kind of like deer in the headlights taking it all in. But then this year I felt like, I understand some of the lingo and some of the things going on. So it was like a really great experience for me to be able to, kind of feel not so deer in the headlights and just be like, I can kind of connect the dots a little bit more. And I actually knew people. It was super cool. People remembered me from the last time, and like that was really neat for me as well. And yeah, like I was mentioning before the call, like it was super cool to me that we had a booth this year, and this was our first time having a booth, and it was just like nonstop traffic. Like on Tuesday especially, like there were people lined up to talk to us, and like that just felt really cool. You don't see that a whole lot at at conferences in general. So that's something that really stood out to me last week.
We're gonna clip that up for booth sponsorship.
Yeah, there you go. Yes, there you go. Yes, feel free to use that. Yeah.
I think for the booth, what I found really interesting was the community of people who came up to the booth. Usually we're trying to explain how broad of a platform PixieBrix is, but each of these COE leaders really understood like human in the loop automation. Okay, how are we trying to deliver Copilot? We understand some of the problems around compliance and getting AI onto everyone's screen. And so the conversation started at maybe like step 2 or 3 in like process of explaining where PixieBrix is, and then that allows you to, in your few minutes of chatting with someone, get really far into okay, here are some of the edge cases, the use cases, why PixieBrix is really a good niche fit for some of their like compliance use cases as well. And so I think just the community of people who already are so deep in automation and show up to imagine are able to have these conversations where you're able to imagine these use. We actually were at the booth putting a few together on the spot there. So that was really fun to do.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's really neat. And it was kind of cool to see that, like, I think kind of even just not PixieBrix side, a big theme this year was like AI and automation, and making AI not just like generative AI, but like actually doing something with it. And that was very cool to see, because PixieBrix obviously plays into that story as well. But it was cool to see like how many ideas people already had for things like that, and what they were, wanting to see, and how, the robots are here and ready to do things.
Since you said I could ask any question while we're here,
Ask
when
away.
you're having
Yes.
people come and see you at the booth, what are you leading with? Is it the embedded button? Is it the side panel? Is it a keystroke kind of hotkey thing? What's the go-to that seems to connect to people the best?
The go-to that, I mean, I know Mark and I both had different conversations, but it kind of seemed like a big theme was the quickest way to embed Copilot, and also the quickest way to like pass context to Copilot. And so that's where PixieBrix kind of, and being able to embed a button was nice and all of that too. But it seemed like that was kind of the theme, was being able to, like, some of the demos we're about to show, and you'll see like people really liked the aspect of being able to contextually pass information from the page to whether it's API tasks or just even opening up a control room and being able to, click a thing and whatnot. Like that's what I saw. And Mark, I think you saw something kind of similar.
Yeah, pretty similar. I think the side panel becomes the star of the show there, because okay, how do we deliver the content in your applications? And the side panel is a big piece of that. And so when people already understand, okay, I'm starting on my Copilot processes, I'm starting to use my bots and API tasks, they're already understanding some of the patterns of looping a human in, whether it's document processing and a queue validation, or whether it's ad hoc triggering API tasks. I think they understand that pattern. And so when you're showing, okay, here's like a panel that now displays over your web applications, that really clicked with people. And so seeing Copilot like a familiar interface in some of those applications really quickly, I think really connected with people. So delivering Copilot is probably what I'd say.
Well, I think that's a good segue. I feel like we probably need to just jump right in now, don't we, Mark? Like, I feel like it's maybe time to show the people, what we're over here like bantering about here. Let's go ahead and show it and put it on the screen, and actually, yeah, walk through the pieces there, because that's like you said, kind of what stole the show, is being able to actually like show people and see the sidebar come to life and everything. So yeah, I'll go ahead and add to stage here, and then yeah, I'll pass over to Mark. If anybody has any questions while we're going through, please feel free to drop them in the chat. I will either interrupt Mark as we go through, or I will queue them up and make sure we get to them at the end. But please feel free to post your questions here in the chat. And Micah, you're allowed to interject too. If you've got access to a mic, feel free to jump in with questions live.
Yes, no hard feelings to cut me off here. This is what we were doing for our theater session, and we got a lot of feedback that this kind of story and this kind of narrative around delivering content in context was really helpful to people. So we thought, let's give that same theater session again and provide a space for question and answer. So definitely use the chat or jump in here.
Yeah.
So just to give a few pointers on what PixieBrix is for those who are just jumping in or saw our booth and wanted to learn a little bit more here, I thought I'd tee up a few slides around the product, the platform, and then jump into the good stuff, some of the demo use cases. So here we're describing PixieBrix as the AI engagement platform that elevates human productivity. And so there's a few different ways that PixieBrix actually delivers this around 3 main buckets of use cases that we'll talk about today. So we talk about PixieBrix being the fastest way to operationalize AI in your organization. So what does that actually mean? So the fastest way to provide AI is to give everyone a chatbot, right? We saw ChatGPT and some of the other LLM providers actually create that chatbot interface, and it's become one of the fastest growing consumer products in human history. So we know that people are very interested in this technology and want to be able to use it. But when we turn to the enterprise side of things and with our customers, we see that they're quickly learning if you deploy a chatbot to everyone, you don't always get the outcomes you want. And so why is that? It's because people vary pretty widely in their ability to effectively use these chatbots. The chatbot interfaces are pretty inefficient if you're working in complex business processes, because now think about you're in an enterprise application. There's so much context on the screen that for the chatbot or the large language model to be helpful, you have to give it all of that context, whether it's copy and pasting the whole screen or trying to export this and feed it into the context window of one of the models. And so that's where people are finding a little bit of inefficiencies and doing this all in the context of, let's say, real-time chat support, or where we usually play in those contact centers. So it becomes a little bit of a multiple screen nightmare as well as a compliance nightmare for the enterprise. And so we've tried to narrow down where PixieBrix is really powerful into 3 main buckets of use cases. So we've got search and information retrieval, we've got communication and collaboration, and then finally our last pillar is around execution. And this is the exciting one, but takes a little bit more work to get these use case patterns to kind of show up in context correctly. And that's why search and communications are really great ones to start off with as well. And all of these are things that we'll actually show in the demo here, but to just tee off PixieBrix as a platform now, these are the main parts of PixieBrix, right? So we've got a Chromium browser extension, meaning we can deploy to your Chromium browsers, Google Chrome and Microsoft Edge fully supported, and deliver content in the context of your work. So we're delivering our tools and your custom tools via our browser extension. All of these tools are built in our low-code page editor. So that's our authorship experience. So think about the control room where you're using the RPA bots and API tasks, dragging and dropping integrations, your logic, similar type of experience. And we see that RPA skill sets usually transfer over pretty well here. Our component registry, think of all of those packages in the control room wrapped up as connectors to other services. And so a component registry actually includes those Automation Anywhere bricks that we have that we'll show you in the demo, and makes it really quick to spin up some of these use cases. And finally, all of this ties together with our admin console, just a central way to manage your team, your membership, deployments, engagement, and get all the audit logging and information you might need. So now we're on to the actual patterns, and what you'll see in the video here, we wanted to just visualize quickly as what PixieBrix is doing in the use cases. So you can think of PixieBrix as the beginning or end, the hands and feet, the eyes and ears. A lot of the context is on the page as we're talking about. And so PixieBrix as that browser extension is able to read the page, react to human actions, create user interfaces that are responsive. And so that's where the user is going to trigger or see in context what's happening. Then all of that information is passed off to one of your models, whether it's passing it first to a large language model, passing it to Automation Anywhere's new agentic AI, passing it to Copilot, basically chaining together the sets of events needed to actually do the work. And so you can think of those as the legs or the hands actually performing. And then how do you bring that information back into the context of the application you're working in? And so that information, after being processed, PixieBrix is a great way to deliver the content. So triggering content, passing it off to these great systems where they're able to do a lot of this work in the background and then bring that forward to the user when it's ready.
I really like this. Like the modifications that you can make on top of an application, I think is killer and underestimated at many times. I think if you were able to show someone a solution without telling them PixieBrix was involved here, you could probably fool them to thinking that that was a native component of that application when it never was.
A lot of people do. Yeah, I think we see that a lot. People be like, "Oh, I didn't know Salesforce can do that," and it's like it can't.
Yeah, never could, but it can now with this thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I think that's often overlooked and not considered enough. Of like, I can totally modify this to do the thing that I want, regardless of what their product team is prioritizing.
Exactly, and one of the really interesting things we found is as customers get good at developing on PixieBrix, you can completely turn around these tools and deploy out with the admin console in one day. So we have a customer right now who can turn around a full use case and deploy out to thousands of agents in one day, which is really the power of like the admin console platform being able to develop, package up, and roll out to all of those agents and make changes really quickly on the fly. So completely agree there. And then in the demo, we'll actually show why it's important to have those native looking buttons as well. And just to tie that into Automation Anywhere, because we're talking about, okay, we're the sensors and we're the actuators, we're how we get context from the page and how we display the information back to you. Automation Anywhere and our partners there are the ones who are doing that automation work, right? So whether that's passing information to the embedded Copilot, which we'll see in the demos, passing information to the RPA bots that you already have in your infrastructure, or if you're starting on API tasks, being able to send your inputs from the application and deliver that back in context gives you a place now to trigger the automations and all the infrastructure you already have. We also see that people are pulling in Copilot requests as potentially human in the loop automations, or even if you have notifications that are getting lost, we're pulling in your Copilot notifications to the browser where most people are doing their work every day. And so all of this is really interesting because our OEM partnership with PixieBrix means that with Automation Anywhere, means we have 3 main use cases that are free as part of your Copilot license. And that's really important because if you're already started on Copilot, you have a sub license to the PixieBrix use cases we're about to show. And you can get started right away and our team will be able to help support there. And so those 3 use cases are going to focus on embedding Copilot Anywhere with the full suite of PixieBrix to pass context to Copilot, actually connecting into, we call it the control room APIs, but it's really going to be deploying bots, API tasks, adding to your workload management queues, document processing, all of that with the full suite of PixieBrix. If that's in your use case, we're going to count that as part of your sub license. And so a lot of people actually get a lot of value over that. And the final use case is over Automation Anywhere domains. If you're already on the control room or you're on Copilot Forms in a new tab, you have the ability to put extra validation and enhancements on there. But we see a lot of people starting with the embedded widget, which is why that's what we're going to show today, as well as using the RPA and API task infrastructure that they already have to bring that automation to the forefront. And the last slide here we'll cover is just how are people actually doing this? How are they seeing the results? Is PixieBrix the right tool for some of these use cases? And are some of our early customers are also actually Automation Anywhere partners? And here we've got TaskUs serving some of the most tech-forward companies. You can imagine DoorDash, Uber Eats, all of the great brand names that you know and love. And they've actually seen the ability to use PixieBrix to embed these native looking buttons like Micah was talking about into their agents' workflows to see a real boost in average handle time, customer satisfaction, and deploying out some of their AI solutions. And so here you can see we're able to onboard really quickly a set of users and drive some of these metrics for different companies. So with that, I think that's going to cover plenty of the context you'll need to understand the demos. I hop right into the demos. We'll cover some of those AAI integrations, meaning what's covered under your Copilot license. We'll show you some of the rapid development experience and how you can actually get started using your API tasks and bot runner, your RPA bots. And then finally, how customers like TaskUs and others are putting all of this together to orchestrate that experience for the agent. So let me flip over to, we've got a video demo here. And I'll pause this throughout just to give a little bit of commentary of what's happening. But before we start here, there's a few things that PixieBrix is actually doing on the page. And so you'll see here.
One sec, Mark. Are you showing which screen? Because we're seeing the slide still. Yeah.
Yes. Let me reshare. Can you see this?
Yes. Now we can. Perfect.
Perfect. So PixieBrix is actually doing a few things on the screen already. And so we're going to look at a few different enterprise applications, this being Zendesk, a support ticket management system. And so our company is using this tool, but we actually have customers also using this tool and enhancing the functionality of Zendesk. We'll see this over Salesforce and other applications as we go through the demos. But the first thing is that PixieBrix is actually deploying a native looking button here. And in the upper right corner, you'll notice that there's an Automation Anywhere button that PixieBrix as a browser extension is superimposing on the screen, so that as an agent, I might see that and say, okay, I understand that this is going to be Copilot. And so when I click that, when Micah and I were talking about what's the best way to actually show people how PixieBrix is bringing value to them, that's going to show native looking UIs like buttons and showing things in context of highlighting text, as well as real estate on the screen for them to actually show the information they want to bring to the forefront. So here we're focusing on Copilot and delivering Copilot in the context of your enterprise application. And this is something that, because we're a browser extension, you can select the sites that you want this to show up on. And because this is going to live in the Chrome sidebar, it's able to display over any of the sites with a few clicks.
One thing I want to call. Oh, sorry, I muted myself. In this situation, you actually, instead of overlaying, you actually did almost like an iframe here, where you've adjusted the screen real estate for the main application. Can you talk about, is that a setting configuration? Is that something that is new? I hadn't seen the push to the side versus overlay.
Great question. And so that actually just came out with the new PixieBrix 2.0 version. And so what this is using is, before PixieBrix used to superimpose a side panel over the screens that you use, but Chrome actually has a Chromium sidebar, which means that at the browser level, it's giving you real estate and adjusting the rest of the screen so that you can display content you want there. And you're completely correct. What we're doing is, in that real estate that Chrome's given us, for the Copilot example, we're able to iframe in the Copilot just how you would on other applications, except here, this is going to live application independent, right? We could be looking at Salesforce here, we could be looking at HubSpot, any of the other applications you're using, but PixieBrix is giving you that real estate at the browser side panel level, which does not have to be embedded into every application, which is why we're focusing on that as being the fastest way to really deliver the Copilot.
Yeah, looks great.
And so this just came out, and this is generally available now. So anyone who's installing PixieBrix should see the new sidebar here. And one of the interesting things is that you can actually drag this side panel to resize to whatever your use case might be. So if you only need a little bit of space, you can expand. Some of the other applications have a little bit less space that they need, so you can expand the Copilot out and really get a full user interface there. And so you see, when we talk about delivering Copilot, the other thing that we've done here is actually had PixieBrix go ahead and read the page. So we're reading the page for the email on the screen for the customer, reading the page for the Zendesk ticket ID that might be needed for like the after call documentation. And so a lot of the work that here we only have 2 parameters, but in practice, agents and employees are really having to document this information across systems. And so PixieBrix here is going to be the overlay that is able to kind of detect what's happening on the screen and pass that and orchestrate that information for where it needs to go. And then you have all the features of Copilot, right? You're able to create those requests, process refunds, and have that be a multi-step process. So that's where we're talking about human in the loop automation, passing information back and forth. And you'll see that here, Copilot followed us around the web, right? Now we're on Salesforce, and I can close and open this anytime I want, but PixieBrix is delivering that application independent experience. And it's not just Copilot, you can build any user interface you want. And so here in that low code editor, one of the PixieBrix developers has actually created a very quick form system, which is tracking time blocks. So you might want to fill out your time card. You can just think of this as a way to ingest information on any screen, getting context from the page or not. So you can build these rich interactive UIs if you want to go a step further than, let's say, what Copilot's delivering out of the box, but still hooking into your API tasks and RPA bots that are doing the real legwork here. And so in the background, all of this is shipped off to an RPA bot where we're following that pattern of firing the bot and letting it do work, but we don't need any information back. So fire and forget.
Just to super clarify and simplify here, the left tab is the Copilot interface where we have drag and drop form builder within Automation Anywhere. The right tab was created completely within PixieBrix's interface, where you also have the ability to add different elements and create this user interface as well, right? So just to clarify the two, even though the right card's still called Automation Anywhere automation to execute, you can do it kind of both ways, depending on what you're looking to accomplish.
Yeah, that's a great call out. And we see customers really driving forward with Copilot because that's going to be a quick way to integrate to your bots and your API tasks. And then as they get deeper into their business process, they might say, okay, we want one of these screens where it's a little bit more interactive with what's happening on the page. And so that's where you might say, okay, we want to mix and match Copilot or our RPA bots with some of the form building and things that PixieBrix is able to deliver. And talking about, let's say, the different interactions that PixieBrix enables, since they're so broad, we're just showing a few of them here. But you can see that as I am highlighting things on the screen, PixieBrix is now also superimposing text selection menus for us. And so because this is looking like a shipping number, it sees that we have a shipping action available. We have that available on Salesforce. And so what happens when I click this shipping crate icon here, we're actually going to do the same thing, call it into our API task. And you can see how quick that is and bring the information back. So before, where let's say some of your RPA bots are taking on those heavyweight tasks and loading across multiple screens, the API tasks are running really quickly here. And
was that the oldest tracking number you could find? 2016?
This is actually from the demo, like the demo of their API.
Oh, okay.
Let's go ahead and use that. And yeah, Spotsylvania, Nevada as well is pretty interesting.
Yeah. A deep cut there.
Deep cut.
I find it so funny. We had an internal conversation about is that weird that it's 2016? And we were like, no one will probably even notice that. But of course, Micah, right
Micah.
On the
first thing I noticed.
Just Micah.
Yeah. This thing's way late.
Yeah, I think we've given this demo probably 100 times and no one's ever noticed the 2016, which is hilarious that you just noticed that. But basically all of that information, however old the package is going to be pulled in from that API task, which is really powerful that you have access to all of that in context. And so moving on from those use cases with Automation Anywhere, all of this is built in that page editor, that low code PixieBrix authorship experience. And so what we're going to do here is just give you some highlights of, you can see we're picking different bricks, we're building on top of each other in a pipeline of automations or actions that need to take place. And we've wrapped up some of the common actions that people are taking with Automation Anywhere as these authorship accelerators. And so here you'll notice some of the things we were doing in the demo, mapping information to the Copilot from the screen, running Automation Anywhere bots for the time card example. And in this case, we're going to just rebuild that shipping use case where you're highlighting text, you're actually running an API task in the background. For simplicity, we've actually just had the Automation Anywhere task basically call the shipping API and pass back the result, and you can parse the JSON on either side. And all of this information is now able to be pulled into our quick form builder and our document builder. So you'll see that we actually have the ability to trace what's happening in the sidebar here with all the data flows. How you see there's a mod variable popover, so autocomplete is going to help increase the speed to development here. And these small things are what makes PixieBrix so powerful for platform, because you'll see in a few minutes there, even though that's sped up, you're able to hook into your existing bot infrastructure, your API tasks infrastructure, Copilot, and deliver that in context. So with the last few minutes here, we thought we'd show you how customers are actually using this and putting it all together. PixieBrix as a browser extension is able to deliver a few of those different experiences, whether it's native looking buttons, whether it's highlighting text menus. It's also able to put things over the screen and deliver, as you see, badge icons in the Chrome extension tray icons. And so what that means for us is we're seeing a lot of teams get messages lost in Teams and Slack that might be high priority. And for some of our customers, things like phishing attacks, things like new updates or releases or trainings that need to be taken before continuing might require their employees to actually pause what they're doing in the context of their work. So you can see we're delivering a modal over the screen and have them acknowledge what's happening here. And all of that can trigger into the rest of PixieBrix. Really quickly here, you'll see that a few things happen. You have Salesforce has text templates, but not in their chat product yet. And so you can see PixieBrix is delivering a text template with slash commands. So when I'm typing slash welcome, you might have that in other parts of the product. But what we're seeing is across the web, this is a great interface for filling in the gaps where those templates do not already natively live. And as well as text templating, we have text detection. And so all of this is PixieBrix watching the page of what's happening and running validation rules. So we might not want to send template messages with templates in it. So you can think of all of these are specific use cases that someone's configured in the page editor, but these are all available to you as a PixieBrix developer as experiences that you can enable for your employees. A core tenet of PixieBrix is that once you've got the mod working, we really want the business analysts, the business managers, the ops managers, the people who control the data to actually be able to make changes in PixieBrix. And so we've got our team databases, but we've also enabled other sources like Google Sheets, Excel, to be the driving source of, let's say, the text snippets that you just saw, the text templates that you saw. And so all of that's going to be able to be brought into context here, where instead of text snippets, you can see I've got templates that PixieBrix is detecting might be relevant to us. So all of this is just under the same pattern of PixieBrix sensing what's on the page and displaying the content that might be relevant here. And you can see as I'm moving around the tabs here, PixieBrix is going to update without me having to do anything. So I'm going to get different languages. I have translation features. I can respond in context. I'm also going to be able to take action on some of these tickets. And you'll notice that all of these are UIs built by that PixieBrix developer, and they're mix and matchable. So you saw our order tracking before, where now PixieBrix has actually shown that this is a potential option of something that might be relevant. So those are the main patterns, showing text templates in context, showing process validation, showing the Automation Anywhere bots and tasks that might be relevant to what we're seeing on the screen. And here you can see that that same order tracking might be helpful in the context of your chat conversation. And finally, to wrap things up, we've seen, talking about that search and communication pillar, the back and forth between, let's say, a model, a bot, and someone. You can imagine this as a Grammarly type tool where you're able to improve text, apply brand guidelines, and run this anywhere across the web as well, along with the other tools that you have. And so we've split all of these out to show that PixieBrix has these different capabilities, but generally customers will pick and choose what they need and integrate this into one type of side panel here. And all of this is able to hit the models that we were talking about. So things like after call work and summarization, all of that's available to you as you're developing on PixieBrix. And just to wrap things up here, you'll see that the summary is created. You have the ability to autofill, copy those notes to the clipboard, and take action from there. So that's a lot of information, a lot of use cases, a lot of experiences that PixieBrix is able to enable. But if we were to kind of wrap things up here in a few key points, PixieBrix being the fastest way to deploy the Copilot. You can imagine passing context, passing information to the Copilot that then allows you to interact with Automation Anywhere. All of this is included under your Copilot license. So if you have a Copilot license, you're able to deploy your RPA bots, API tasks, and the widget over any web application with the full suite of any of the interactions that you just saw in PixieBrix. And then finally, customers are combining those tasks, combining the infrastructure that you already have in your control room, along with understanding what's on the page and PixieBrix's tools with AI to bring that experience together so an agent doesn't have to learn a new interface, doesn't have to shift multiple tabs to get their work done, and deploys all as a browser extension, which is all managed by the admin console, which means we call it zero DevOps. You create it and we're able to push it out. And we've seen customers do this in the same day. So really powerful tool here. And I know a lot of customers want to get started. So our team, Britt, myself, I'm sure Micah would love to help as well, are able to show you the basics of PixieBrix and how to get started on embedding the Copilot and things like that.
Yeah, I think that was great. You showed so many things there so quickly that I could have probably watched that 3 times and still missed some things. But one thing I'd want to call out here is that he showed some stuff with Automation Anywhere's Copilot embedded. He showed some stuff with just creating these form experiences directly within PixieBrix. The other thing I would highlight here is all of the stuff that we can do within Automation Anywhere, from document automation and being able to upload documents, to API tasks and Process Composer to string together some somewhat complex processes that include automations plus human in the loop for exception processing and things like that. All of that is possible with this same Copilot extension that he's been showing. So you have the ability to kick those processes off. You have the ability to resume those processes when there are exceptions and address those directly in browser, in application here, without having to leave or go to some other web application or some other interface. All of that's available directly within here.
Yeah, and what I really like about this is, like, if you watched this and you were like, oh, I like this, but I don't know that I need this. Like, that's the beauty of PixieBrix, is this is a super customizable tool. And like, you know, something Micah said earlier is what's really great about PixieBrix is like you don't have to be reliant on your tools, dev teams, and the way they prioritize features, because that's actually kind of how I got into PixieBrix. Is I'm a huge Trello user, and I wanted Trello to do certain things that I knew would never make it on the roadmap of the, you know, Trello development team. And so basically, yeah, we haven't even gotten too far into the developer experience with this yet, but building with this is as simple as piecing together bricks that are specific functions to do things that you want, whether it's creating a card in Trello, or, you know, extracting something from a page, or, you know, sending data to another place, or, you know, running an API task, whatever it is, you can piece those things together and make your own custom sort of thing there. And it's much easier to do than if you were to, you know, hide yourself away in a hole and try to write a Chrome extension with JavaScript and things. So yeah, that's just my 2 cents on that. But yeah, any other questions or anything from folks? I haven't seen anything come through in the chat, but if anybody is, here and has a burning question, please, by all means, share it here. We're also going to be offering enablement sessions, and I've got a link here I'm going to drop in the chat where you can schedule those if you would like to get on a call and talk about, okay, yeah, I see how this all works. How does this work, though, with my team and my use cases and such. So feel free to, I've just posted the link in the chat. I'm going to show it here. There's no way you're not going to read that off, but I'm just highlighting it. So you see it is in the chat. Feel free to grab that and copy and paste that. And we'll be happy to chat more about how to use this. And yeah, Eduardo's on our team and, calling out basically the solution to, I wish website X had this feature or integration. That's honestly, yeah, PixieBrix in a nutshell, right? Like, I wish I could, do this or that. Like, I wish I could send this Medium article to, Trello or whatever your tool of choice is. So yeah, I'll pause a few more seconds in case there's any questions that come through, because I know there's always a bit of a lag in the live stream. But thank you everybody for joining. This has been awesome. I feel like we covered a lot of great ground here, lots of good information. And this is being recorded. I don't know if I mentioned that at the top of the hour, but Micah mentioned I could watch this through 3 times and still miss stuff. Well, no worries. For anybody who wants, you can rewatch this through and you can pause and dive into anything in specific that you want. So definitely we'll be, posting this link out. But you actually should be able to come back to this exact link that you're on, whether you're on YouTube or LinkedIn right now, and watch the recording as soon as we stop this. So feel free to do that. Share with your team and make sure to set up an enablement session. But yeah, any other closing thoughts, Mark or Micah?
I think
those are great. No wonder there was a line at your booth.
Yeah.
And for anyone who wants to get started, there's the enablement sessions. I think, Britt, if you also have the Slack link, we have a community of people who are posting questions, and that's a really quick way to get your immediate question answered if you can't find an enablement time that works for your whole team. The Slack link's great, and then we have 2 certifications that are also inspired from the Automation Anywhere tiers of certification. So the professional certification, just let's get the terms down, and then PixieBrix plus AI certification to talk a little bit about some of these use case patterns we're seeing.
Perfect. Awesome. Any all right, cool. Any other thoughts, Micah, or anything else? Or we all good to sign off?
Good. No, that was great. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, Micah. We really appreciate it. It's always fun having you here. And yeah, thanks, Mark. And thanks everyone for joining. And we will see you on the flippity flop.
All right. See you guys.
Great. Thanks, everyone.
See y'all.
Bye.